In today's tutorial, let's spruce up your winter wardrobe and make a big triangle scarf using some sock yarn. Let me show you how to do that right after this. Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd as well as Yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today's tutorial we are going to make a big triangle scarf using the Peyton's Croy Sock FX yarn, and this is sock yarn, so it turns out to be really amazing. And I have a few slight modifications for this original pattern that we have, the big fringe triangle scarf, where I've just actually changed my yarn hook, my crochet hook like so, and I've also changed out the yarn. I'm going to tell you a little bit of secrets on what you need to do in order to change up this pattern. I've kind of changed the fringing as well on this particular design to make it a little more interesting. So what we have today is that this yarn, because it's a lot more thinner than the regular yarns of the Bernat satin, just like you see here, you will notice that it has a lot finer look and more refined, I think, over time as well. It depends on your particular outfit on what you want to wear, but this, because it's Croy Sock FX yarn, is that it changes color slowly, so it has a really kind of a neat transition, and you can see that on the original of the one that I've actually created in order to kind of prove that this can be done in something different. In this version of a triangle scarf, you're going to need 4 balls of Peyton's Croy Sock FX in order to do it. You'll need a 3.5mm size crochet hook. I provided a link in the more information of this particular video for you to access it in order to get the very specifics that you're going to need in order to make this work. Now I noticed with myself is that I was able to get through most of this pattern, well, all of this pattern with 4 balls, but I actually timed it in a way that the 4th ball is actually part of it is using to the fringe to the actual outfit itself, and because of that it really does a nice job. So you can use any of the colors to make it work. You can mix and match your colors, have a lot of fun with it, but either way how you do it is very, very simple, and this is kind of one of those mindless projects you can do in front of TV without a problem. Okay, so let's begin, and I'm using my 3.5mm size crochet hook and my Croy Socks FX yarn, and you can see it's kind of thin, but this is what creates the really unique look to it. And we'll create a slip knot. Remember that the one on the hook never counts as one. So we're just simply going to chain 4. So we got 1, 2, 3 and 4. So let's move on to row number 1. We are going to double crochet into the beginning chain, so the starting chain. So wrap the hook first, go into the starting chain and double crochet 2 times. So the difference between the big one and the big fringe scarf in this one is obviously the size of hook and how meticulous that the stitches look, and because it's more refined look, it has a very different look when it comes to actually wearing it. Let's turn our work and go up to row number 2. Row number 2, turn our work, and we're going to chain up 3. So we're always going to start off by chaining 3 to begin, and we're always going to put 2 double crochets right into the same stitch right underneath it. So always, always, always. Okay, so if you heard anything in this video, that's always the rule. Okay, and in the row number 2 we want to chain 1 and then come into the very last turning chain and double crochet 3 times into that last one. And then the repeat pattern is starting to become obvious in the next row. So once you get that done, let's turn our work and move up to the next row. In row number 3, always, always, always we're going to chain up 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and then double crochet into the very starting one and double crochet that 2 times. So you have a total of 3 in there, because remember that the chaining in 3 counts as a double crochet. Once you get that done, you're going to chain 1, you come to the next chain 1 space and you double crochet 3 times. So always, always, always across in every chain 1 space you always put in 3 double crochets followed by a chain 1, and then always, always, always on the edge you're always going to put in 3 double crochets into the final stitch. This is what makes it grow into a triangle. So you can see the difference between this video and the other one that I just did. I did the big one. The difference of the sizing is huge, but this one looks a lot more refined and it's for a very different kind of look. Let's turn our work and go up to row number 4. Let's turn our work and number 4. So always, always, always chaining 3. 1, 2, 3, double crochet into the same one 2 more times. So everything is in groups of 3. Followed by a chain 1, go to the first chain 1 space double crochet 3 more times. Followed by a chain 1, go into the next chain 1 space. So it's just getting wider and wider. Followed by chain 1 and then the final. And that was row number 4. I'm gonna turn our work and do row number 5 as the final, just to kind of get you on your way, and then we'll cover the fringe next. Turn our work for number 5. So you can see that the pattern is starting to develop, and we chain 3 to start. So 1, 2, 3, this is row 5, and double crochet right into the beginning one as always. This Crochet FX socks, it changes color slowly and it's amazing. So we follow by a chain 1 and then 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. So it's like granny squares, but it's a triangle. Followed by a chain 1, double crochet 3 more times into the next chain 1 space. Followed by a chain 1 and then next space. So the only difference is every row there's more and more spaces to work with, because it's getting bigger and bigger. Okay, and then chain 1, do the final, and it's in the last one. So it's always 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 in the last stitch. This is what makes this one mindless, because it's just, the rules are just so simple. So you're going to continue to do that. So in my particular size that I did, and I have the measurements right here, is that mine is about 43 to 44 inches in across the top, and it's done with the 4 balls of sock yarn, and there's enough to do fringing. So we're gonna cover the fringing next, and if you want to do a child size in this, it's about 30 to 35 inches. I would suspect, but don't quote me on this, that it probably 3 balls of the Crochet FX socks for a child size version, but I would grab 4 anyway just to make sure that you got enough. So let's cover the fringing next. So you'll just continue to work that, and let me show you how to do fringing. So in the fringing of mine, I didn't go all the way up, all the way from the bottom to the top. I only went up to 8 spots. So I have 1 in the bottom, and then I went up 8 increments. Okay, so you see 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4. I only went up to 8. Okay, and I did that on both sides. So my fringing is actually a different measurement. So my fringing, the original lengths are 21 inches, not 36 like the original big scarf. And so all I just do is I lay it down on a tape measure and I measure it, and then I just grab the yarn and I just kind of use my fingers and I kind of get the length I need, and then I roughly cut it. So I just kind of group it and I roughly cut it. And I have to trim anyway when it's not perfect, and I just trim off all the edges so that there's no loops, like so. So there it is, and you can see it's not perfect, but that's okay, nothing in life is. So let's just group it together, and I have a bigger hook, so you'll need a bigger size hook, because the smaller hook, there's lots more yarn here. So basically we need a bigger size hook, so we just come along the edge and we pick an edge, and you just be consistent with it. So I'm just gonna go in to an edge, grab the loop of all that yarn, pull through, and then I just give it a little bit of slack, wrap everything around that hook, and just gently pull it through. Just like that. So now the fringing is then all attached. So the secret of fringing is that because I went in this way, I'm always gonna want to do that, because if I come the other way, this knot is gonna look different from one side versus the other. So that's something that you have to watch for. And this is a triangle scarf using sock yarn. I think you'll find it amazing, and you get these kind of really cool looks using the Peyton's Crochet Socks FX yarn, just like so. Until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of the Crochet Crowd as well as Yarnspirations.com. Have a super week. We'll see you again next time.